Honorable Ambassador Robert Kopecki, Head of the EU Delegation, other members of the Diplomatic Corps, special invitees, members of the media, participants, ladies and gentlemen, a special good morning to you all. The specific objectives of the Guyanese Vulnerable Communities Capacity Strengthening Project include augmenting participation of civil society organizations on behalf of the communities they serve in decision-making processes on human rights, issues such as the abolition of corporal punishment, decriminalization of same-sex intimacy and cross-dressing, protecting lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender LGBT Guyanese from discrimination in Guyana, eradicating violence against women and children, and ending trafficking in persons, especially indigenous girls and women who are particularly vulnerable. This consultation on public policy advocacy aims to enhance the efficiency of participating civil society organizations to engage our policymakers with effective advocacy which advances our human rights causes. This project is split into 3 phases. The purpose of this consultation marks the end of the first phase and is intended to bring together a wide cross-section of civil society stakeholders from both rural and urban Guyana to review the analyses and findings of the draft baseline and mapping studies conducted under the project earlier this year. The baseline study measures the current level of capacity among Guyanese civil society to engage in public policy advocacy on behalf of vulnerable groups. The mapping study describes the process of how public policy decisions are made in the Guyanese context and highlights key opportunities for civil society intervention and participation. We are grateful for the illuminating work of our consulting team, comprised of international, regional, and local public policy experts for their work here. I would now like to recognize the team, our public policy Commonwealth consultant, Mr. Gordon Floyd, our public policy carbon consultant, Ms. Deborah Nurse, and our governance research consultant, Ms. Cassandra Alves. Thank you. The second phase of the project will comprise a 2-part training program in public policy advocacy, which aims to provide a thorough and focused introduction to and appreciation of the fundamental principles and practices of effective public policy advocacy and prepare participants to make successful interventions in public policy decision-making processes in Guyana. The third and final phase will comprise a follow-up training of trainers and will be, in part, a response to the participants' assessments following the first training program, covering themes and skills deemed important by participants. The second part of the session will focus on the collaborative initial development of the first draft of an advocacy strategy and plan. This round of training will also be focused on the training of expert civil society organization trainers and mentors who will in turn effect and train fellow members of their organizations and constituencies to engage more effectively in public policy advocacy and decision-making processes in Guyana. We believe this capacity strengthening is timely in light of the upcoming elections. Guyanese civil society will now be more equipped to engage the next government and 12th Parliament on behalf of the marginalized groups that we serve. We are preparing to take collective and proactive action to have human rights issues addressed now, both during the campaign and when the next government and parliament takes office after the May 11th polls. We are no longer waiting. Women, children, indigenous communities, LGBT people, and other vulnerable groups in Guyana are all suffering. Our issues must be addressed now. Thank you for listening.